one and only Neil Greenberg. We appreciate our guy making time from the Washington Post at Post Sports, joining us via the Rude guest hotline. Rude makes the most reliable heating and air conditioning products in the DMV. Greenberg, how do you do, buddy?
I'm doing super. How are you guys?
Well, we just had a pretty interesting situation. Just before we went to break in the first hour, we got a call from Peter in Vienna, who proceeded to bet BMitch $500 that Jaden Daniels is not on the Commanders roster in 2027, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah. To that, I just got this incredible tweet. I want to read this one. Joshua Armoni said, and that's how you make a quick $500 on a Wednesday morning. When you hear that, it's just insane.
Yeah, the wheels would have to come off. Like literally, like he'd have to have
he's under contract. Like it's
right.
That's not even an option.
I mean, as of right this second, there's virtually no scenario, barring something catastrophic, that would stop the Commanders from picking up the fifth-year option and or negotiating an extension, right? Like there's nothing has happened. He's had some fluke injuries, but nothing has happened to say, whoa, maybe we got to cut bait here with Jaden Daniels and find something else. I'm sorry for that person. I guess, like, to me, $500 is a lot of money, and I wouldn't just be like, throwing it in the trash. But
you might be a lawyer.
Some people
money to
burn.
So
we split that 3 ways? Me, you, and BMitch?
Well, I am looking for a new QI40 driver, so that's called $629. So $500 help me out. I get close there.
Get you almost home. Yeah. Greenberg, what a weekend of football, man. What did you think? High, low, best game, worst game, best moment. Just what stood out for you?
Denver Buffalo was great. I love thrilling overtime games in the playoffs. I thought the Rams Bears was interesting in that I felt like Chicago lost that game more than the Rams won the game. And then, those are the 2 games that really stood out for me. You got to feel for the Buffalo Bills franchise and Josh Allen and just, I mean, is Buffalo the best to never do it? I mean, you just look at their legacy. It's always just being good enough to be in the conversation or even getting there and just not being able to convert.
Historically, going back to the Jim Kelly years too?
But
just in all the sports, they got to be the best to never do it, right? I mean, you just look at how many bites of the apple that they've had and how good they've been. Probably one of the most disappointing franchises just in terms of leading up to the big day and then just falling flat.
Yeah.
I really do feel bad for Buffalo fans.
They had, 7 double-digit win
Their
seasons?
Their point differential is unbelievable.
Now, 7 double-digit win seasons in a row, right?
Yeah.
And franchise quarterback, great quarterback, guy that's just unbelievable, pulling out victories, being perennial contenders. Short list of Super Bowl favorites every year since Josh Allen has kind of put himself on the map.
Yep.
And just can't get it done. And, that just shows you how difficult it is to win in the NFL. I know a lot of people like to cut bait after one poor season, but it's hard. Even if you have all the ingredients, coach, quarterback, supporting cast, it still doesn't mean much. You still have to play the games, and you're still vulnerable on any given Sunday. That's why it makes the sport great. But it's hard to win, and I hope the local fans cut the current team some slack because, as I said, you can have everything go right and it still goes wrong.
I did a post the other day after I watched that game, and I know he had his turnovers and things of that nature. But as I watched the game, what I saw was a team that depends too much on one guy.
Yes.
And I said the Bills and Josh Allen both will never win a Super Bowl if they don't give him some help. And what I mean by that is he doesn't have enough on offense to take the pressure off of him. And the defense wasn't as good as they were in the past to help him out either. They just feel like throw Josh on the field, he'll make it work. What's going to happen? Josh Allen is going to get destroyed because over time, I don't care how big you are, you get beat up. And if they can't stop anybody, then he tries to go Superman too much, which is always a detriment to a quarterback.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I even backed the Denver money line in print, and I specifically wrote, backing Buffalo is risky because its success is overly dependent on quarterback Josh Allen. And that's true. I mean, you need help. This is why, the draft's important, free agency is important, injuries are important, depth's important. Mm-hmm. There's so much that goes into winning football games. Yes, you get a good quarterback like Jaden Daniels, and that gets you, if we're using football, analogies from, the 25-yard line into the, past the half, past the 50-yard line and into opponent's territory. But you still need a lot more stuff to get you in the red zone and then score a touchdown. So, it's hard, and I as a fan have obviously been hard on teams, but even as a writer sometimes I kind of look back and I say, maybe I was a little bit too harsh because it's hard. It is so hard. I'm learning more and more how hard it is to build championship caliber teams or even contending teams. There's just so much that goes into it. It's just a really difficult endeavor.
Talking with our friend Neil Greenberg here on the Rude Guest Hotline. You can give Greenberg a follow at @ngreenberg. Check out his work in the Washington Post sports section. I think our conversation here about how difficult all this is a really interesting segue. So Terry Pegula is the owner of the Bills, and he's conducting a press conference right now that seems a little out there. He's like blaming the fired coach for drafting Keon Coleman. It's kind of all over the place, right? But he said something that is really interesting. And I want to ask you both this. Pegula said, what is success? Is success being in the playoffs 7 years in a row without a Super Bowl? And I think success in the NFL is so hard to define. Because last year for Washington, that was success.
Yeah.
You get to the NFC title game. This year in Chicago, those folks view it as a wildly successful year. This year in Buffalo, it's not. Like, how do you define that in NFL terms?
But success is depending on where you are and what you've been doing.
Right.
If Buffalo had been like Cleveland or had Washington had been, and then they go and they get two playoffs back to back, that's success. But in their situation, okay, there are many teams over the history that have gone to the playoffs 7 years and did not win a damn Super Bowl. Because only one wins it at the end. So Pegula, he has to understand that the team he purchased, they went to 4 Super Bowls in a damn row, and they have no Super Bowl win. You understand what I'm saying? So he's kind of like lost in a sense. He doesn't understand it like Greenberg just stated. It is difficult as hell. I was on a team that won the Super Bowl. But we saw some chances throughout that year where guy would get hit and you're like, oh, no, he wasn't hurt. See what I'm saying? So we were lucky as hell. We were good, but we were lucky. And I think people don't understand that aspect of it. It's not that damn easy to just go out there and win.
Yeah, I think he's placating to the fans a little bit to say, we didn't reach our ultimate goal. But you have 6 wins in 2018 and then 10 wins in 2019. That's success. In my opinion, that's a successful season. Mm-hmm. And then you start rattling off double digits, and you're in the playoffs, and you're winning games in the playoffs. Like, those are successful seasons. What I think he's really talking about is how much gray area is there between your expectations and your actual reality, right? Like, if your expectation is Super Bowl or bust, then sure, you can say, not winning the Super Bowl was a failure or however you want to word it, but 31 teams fail every year. And that doesn't mean the best team in football doesn't always win, right? And the best team in the Super Bowl game doesn't always win.
Yeah.
And that's why we watch the game. If this was all preordained, if we knew that Buffalo was going to win, the product wouldn't be nearly as popular. But to say that you haven't had a successful tenure with that coach, I think is ridiculous, because look at what's the alternative? 4-win season like the Giants, or a 3-win season like Arizona, and you're wondering how the heck am I going to compete with the Seattles and Rams and 49ers of the world? I mean, you're a perennial divisional contender who is also an AFC contender, and by extension a Super Bowl contender. Like if you don't see that as a successful season, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like, success isn't just holding the trophy at the end of the year. It's a worthy goal. It should absolutely be the goal of a contending team. But I think you do a disservice to all the players and coaches that get you as far as you got and say that they failed, because I don't see it that way.
See, what I see is this. I read a story the other day when they fired McDermott, then Bean got a promotion, okay? And it was a sentence in that story that said the owner seems to get closer to the people that he trusts. And as I'm hearing this today, saying that it was McDermott who drafted and this type of thing, and then that's not success, I hear a guy who's been feeding the owner some BS. Okay? For that owner to say, because if that GM didn't have something to do with drafting him, why the hell is he still there? Because I've been around football a long time. No coach, unless you have the title of general manager also, is the only person that comes out and says, let's drop this guy.
Yeah, I mean, what was the famous line from, you have to let me, shop for the ingredients if you want me to cook in the kitchen. And,
Parcells, yeah.
It's a team game. And not only is it a team game, but the people on the team do such vastly different things at different times. And, it's been, analytically proven that you can't beat the draft. And really the only way that, the best chance is to have as many chances as possible. And, GMs can only do so much. Again, you can get the best possible team on the field and they can get injured, or they can, have 2 bad games in a row that, just the ball doesn't bounce their way for whatever reason, and that can knock them out of a playoff run where they were, or they could be 16-0 going into the playoffs and not win the Super Bowl. I mean, is that an unsuccessful season? I mean, there's 31 other owners that are like unsuccessful. Are you nuts?
Right.
So it's
the notion of success is interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of it's pandering, right? Anytime an owner or a GM, I think, goes in front of the media, they say a lot of things, but they don't say anything, right? Like they're really just placating and they're pandering, and they want to give the fans something that they want to hear so that they still buy the season tickets. I think there's probably a classier way that an owner can go about it, instead of saying that they weren't successful under a coach that delivered, a bunch of double-digit seasons and some postseason success. But this is the next guy will get a chance, and we'll have to see what we do. And my guess is Buffalo won't be as successful, only because like Josh Allen's kind of he's getting older, and they do need pieces, and I think the league figures out other teams quicker now, and so there may be a little bit of a learning curve there. So. We'll just have to wait and see what direction the franchise takes after this.
You better be careful with that. We're not having success, because you know what? Let's see what success will be the next 7 years.
Right. How successful is the next campaign going to be with a new coach and, all that other stuff? I mean, can you imagine if they don't make the playoffs? Like, then, you're going to have people second-guessing you for the entire offseason.
Yeah.
Talking with our friend Neil Greenberg here on the Rude Guest Hotline. You can read Neil's work in the Washington Post. I want to make sure we make a little time for the Caps, and my question isn't great. Is it time to be worried? Lost 3 in a row, a true must-win tonight against Vancouver.
Yeah, I mean, Vancouver stinks. Vancouver hasn't won since like December.
Right, they're
December.
Bad.
Have they lost 8 games in a row? They're They're not good. Again, this is hockey. It's going to have ups and downs. I do not worry until we get much closer to the playoffs and trades are made and we see kind of where they are. They have 24 wins. The Islanders are in second place with 27 wins, 5-point difference between them. Carolina's kind of running away with it, but a 3-game win streak puts them right back to where they were before, up at the top half. And, then we're talking about, how does their playoff outlook look? So,
dude, Vancouver, according to my research, has lost 11 in a row.
Yeah, they are. I'd be worried if I'm a Vancouver fan, right? Like that's the worrisome part. They're not scoring goals and they're losing. They're not really competitive. They just lost 3-4 to the Islanders. So this is a good game for Washington in terms of at least having an opponent that they should win. You start to chain them together, and then who knows what it's going to look like. But again, don't worry about it. Let's let 60 games go by, and then let's see, because they play Vancouver. Well, they're on that crazy road stretch, right? So Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton.
Yeah.
Calgary's not that good, I don't think. You get 2 in a row, and then you start to, put some other wins together on this road stretch or get some points. They're going to be fine.
All right, that's good to hear. You got any leans for this weekend for the conference championship games?
I do. I like the Broncos and the points. I think there was an overreaction to the Bo Nix injury. I don't think Bo Nix was worth 7 points to the spread. I would say it's probably worth somewhere between 2 and 4. And some odds makers agree with me. But the money came in, they had to move. So I do like the Broncos plus 5.5. And then I like Seahawks minus 2.5, get under that number 3. Like I said, I think Chicago lost the game to the Rams more than the Rams won. So I'm back in Seattle in that game.
All right. Interesting stuff. And I know we did this briefly last week. College hoops. Remember the old Atlantic 11? Mason, the best team? Are you still rolling with UVA? You still counting them as local?
I mean, they've been in the Atlantic 11, weren't they? Weren't they in that Atlantic 11?
They might have been.
VCU? Were they in the
Steinberg.
Atlantic? Yeah, I'd have to see, but I would say like VCU, Virginia Tech, they're all okay. They're all in the top 50 of KenPom. So I think that they'll have a relatively good showing. I do have a bleep you landfill before I go.
Oh, hell yeah.
We definitely want that.
Hell yeah.
He was poo-pooing Shea Stadium the other day, and I'm not going to hold it against you
He knew
guys
that was going to happen.
and boycott the show, but I love landfill. I've known him for over a decade, but bleep you, Mullins.
Mullins, would you like to respond?
I'm just saying Shea Stadium was a bad stadium.
Say it to my face.
Come to the station, and I will.
Greenberg.
All right, then.
We have Greenberg in studio next week.
Dude, I'm here for it. Do you disagree with that, Shea? It could mean a lot to you, and you have a lot of great memories. I've been to Shea. It wasn't great, dog.
You're right. It was spectacular. It was.
See, this is a problem with the stadium talk. People compare those old historical stadiums to these brand new these huge things and all the lights and glitter.
It was so cozy.
The stadium became a part of the whole thing. So I can understand where he's at.
In baseball especially, there are old stadiums that have aged incredibly well. Fenway and Wrigley are 2 of the gems of the sport. Hell, even Camden Yards is now 30 years old and still incredible. Shea was a dump. Sorry, Greenberg.
Okay, now.
Hey, remember, JP said it. You and I are friends.
All of those multi-use stadiums that they built in the 60s and 70s sucked. All of them. Veterans,
I don't know what's happening
RFK,
right now.
Shea Stadium, they all suck.
I told you I work with haters, Greenberg. Haters.
I didn't believe it until now, but now I see it.
You're welcome in studio anytime, sir.
And if you hit somebody, I'm with you.
We don't have HR, so you're good.
All right.
He don't work for the station. It wouldn't make a difference.
It's a good point, too. Thank you for the time, dude.
I love you, BMitch.
All right, baby. Love you too. I love you too, Greenberg.